Hi all, welcome to my YouTube channel Canada Tried and Tested. In today's video, I shall talk about how my wife and I went about planning our initial few months stay in Toronto for less than 1,100 Canadian dollars. And that too, not staying at basement, which typically cost around $1,500. In addition, this plan helped us to save transportation cost, which many of us don't give consideration to. And staying here in Toronto allowed us to explore city more and do many more things for free. Don't forget to watch till the end so that you get to know what those free things were. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and press the bell notification to get all my future videos. When we were going through the PR process, we explored options where we could begin our life once the PR comes through. We looked at options like Vancouver, Montreal, and even smaller town, what they had to offer in terms of not just job, but overall lifestyle and basic amenities. We prioritized Toronto as I'm a project manager and my wife is a finance manager. And Toronto being Canada's financial capital, it was a safe bet for us despite the fact that it is an expensive place to live. Now, we also knew that till such time one of us had job visibility, either in Toronto or elsewhere, we will have to keep our accommodation flexible but not compromise on quality of life while keeping the budget tight while we have no source of income, and stay close to Toronto Business District. Most of the information, including from known sources, suggested not to stay in Toronto as we will have to at least shell $1,500 to $1,800, and that too we would only get a basement. Well, those of you who are hearing this term for the first time, basement is a floor of a building which is partly or entirely below the ground level. And checking information online showed many health risks associated with staying in basement, including respiratory problems as well as depression during winter. Instead, people suggested us to look for accommodation in Greater Toronto area like Mississauga and Brampton, where the rentals are relatively cheaper than Toronto, and one could get basement for $1,400. Well, if we were to go for long-term rental, then we need to have credit score. The owner also prefers person having full-time job, and you have to pay the first month and last month as advance, and you also need to have a reference. I was not very much in favor of giving this 2 months rental upfront and getting into contract. Instead, wanted to keep things flexible till we knew where we would get job and then look for long-term rental closer to job location. So how did I start? First thing first, I tried understanding the basic geography of Toronto and GTA. Here is the simple version for you to understand based on transportation system. So this is Toronto area running on Toronto Transit System, which is TTC, Mississauga on Meeway Transit, Brampton on Zoom, Richmond Hill and Markham in York Region Transit, Pickering, Ajax on Durham Region Transit. As you know that transportation network is the lifeline of any city, and so it is important in Toronto also. In Toronto, public transport is run by TTC, which stands for Toronto Transport Corporation. It has subway train, streetcar and buses. I'm sharing the link below for you to understand this better. This is their subway route, line 1 or yellow line, which runs between Finch to Vaughan Metropolitan Center, and line 2 or green line, which runs between Kipling and Kennedy Station. Both these lines intersect with each other at Bloor, Spadina and St. George Station. I understood that to keep my life simple, I need to stay as close as possible to subway station so that I can board subway in a frequency of 3 to 4 minutes. Now, if I need to go from Kipling to Kennedy, it takes about 52 minutes. To go from Kipling to Union Station, 39 minutes. To go from Kennedy to Union Station, it takes about 37 minutes. And to go from Finch to Union, 36 minutes. To go from Vaughan Metropolitan Center to Union Station, 44 minutes. I now focused on getting accommodation near to any of these subway stations to have minimum dependency on bus and streetcar, as their punctuality is dependent on factors like traffic on road and other conditions. So this was the requirement we came up with, not to spend more than $1,000 on fully furnished accommodation till we move to long-term accommodation, including a fully functional kitchen with pots and pan, so that we can cook our meal and stay healthy and keep our food expenses low. Stay close to downtown to spend less time commuting and spend less time on transportation. How? You'll get to know this analysis a little later. Have flexibility to travel at short notice for events, meetings, or otherwise, which if you stay at a place far away, then you are not motivated to do. We were very clear that we will not stay in basement. This really helped us. Library and community center had to be at a walkable distance. Community center allows free printout of resumes, and both library and community center have free Wi-Fi. We in fact made these places as temporary office for telephonic interview and job search, etc. Have a supermarket at walkable distance of about 15 to 20 minutes. Basically have a very less dependency on transportation. Based on these criteria, I was able to search and book our temporary accommodation through Airbnb for a month in Toronto area, which we were getting for $1,000, and believe me, it was quite a good deal. The plan was that once we know the layout of Toronto, we will be able to choose our next temporary accommodation based on what fits our budget and long-term requirement. Meanwhile, one of the known persons suggested that instead of staying elsewhere, we can stay at his place initially. I cancelled my Airbnb booking, which turned out to be a bad move, both in terms of expense and commute. Only after we reached his place, we realized that his house was in Brampton area, which is not Toronto. And if you don't own a car, it's a pain to travel to Toronto. Nothing to complain about Brampton except the fact that most of the events and connects were happening in Toronto area, and traveling from Brampton by public commute was taking minimum 1 hour 30 minutes one way for us, and was expensive too. Remember that transit system I mentioned before? Now each city have their own transit system, which meant that every time you change transit, you pay additional fare. And if you take express transit, which is GO region public transport, which connect these cities, they are much more expensive. How the transportation budget works? TTC, once you start your transit, your transfer is valid for 2 hours. You can hop on, hop off to the any system and switch direction at any point in your journey by subway, bus or streetcar. If you're within 2 hour window from the first stop, you won't be charged another fare. But if you change any other transit, like from TTC you switch to MyWay or Zoom, you need to pay additional fare. It's completely different transit system. Now from Brampton to Toronto, what were my options? The first option was take Zoom transit and then change TTC, so pay separately for Zoom and TTC, as both are two different transit systems. If I wanted to have a faster commute, then take a GO Transit, which is a different transit system which serves the greater Golden Horseshoe region of Ontario and is expensive than any of the other transportation system, and then take TTC, for which I had to pay additional. If I am in Mississauga, I take MyWay and then change to TTC to reach downtown, and as an option 2, I take a GO Transit and then take a TTC. After landing in Canada, on third day we took GO train from Brampton to Toronto, as my wife had an interview in downtown. We spent $22 for one person two-way. Since she was going for the first time, I too joined. So just on transportation we spent $44 that day. This is when I realized that it will not work in long run. So I went to my original plan, booked Airbnb for 2 months near main station for $1,100 per month, which was a shared space with landlady. We were given fully furnished room with breakfast, internet, TV, Wi-Fi, fully functional kitchen for us to prepare our meal. Since we were on first floor, we were always seeing the outside world. TTC bus was right in front of her house, and the nearest subway was 18 minutes from the house, and downtown was 40 minutes. So staying near to TTC line meant just not managing time but also money. Most of the meetings which I would have would be of 30 minutes to 1 hour, which meant I only paid minimum one-time fare. Think if I had to travel from another city, how much it would be. No Frill, which is a retail store, was 10 minutes walk from the place where I stayed, and there was a park nearby at a walkable distance. We were not worried about travel, as majority of the settlement service services, meetings, interview were happening in Toronto. In fact, we changed our location 5 times all through Airbnb. Each time we followed these criteria before moving into long-term accommodation. Once my wife got her full-time job. The only inconvenience here was to move our luggage, but since everything would fit into UberX, it was not costing more than $30. Here is the location, time, distance, fare chart of places we stayed. Brampton, we would commute for approximately 1 hour 30 minutes to 40 minutes. Change to transit bus, one way pay for Zoom and then for TTC. So total would come around this much for per person. If we took a GO train, then it would come approximately this much. Mississauga, it was the same case like Brampton. Pay anywhere between this to this. Now with Toronto, most of the time my schedule would fit into 2-hour tap window. So I ended up paying only the base fare and commute time was also far less. Well, ask anyone if you have to commute for more than 1 hour one way to a place of meeting, say for settlement service or event or job fair during winter, you have no motivation. You will think twice before going out. So impact is much more than money. And we definitely made wise decision moving to Toronto, and we were connected seamlessly with all the services. Let me tell you one more interesting fact. If you stay in Toronto and not in GTA, you have Toronto Library card, which is free by the way. You get museum and gallery passes from library free of cost. If you come to visit these places from any of the GTA area, you must pay the fee. Now coming to how to find the houses. To find accommodation, there are many apps. Airbnb, Facebook Marketplace, Kijiji are quite popular here. We have not tried Facebook Marketplace or Kijiji, so will not be able to comment on them. We went with Airbnb as listings are very clear. There are genuine reviews written about the host, and you clearly get to know what is included and what is not included in the offering. There is no guesswork, and in case you have any issue, there is a support team available 24/7, and payment is also on monthly cycle. While the actual address is not known till the payment is made, but one gets to know the general area of map showing intersection, which is an easy reference point. Description is given below, and if you are booking for the first time by using my link, you will get discount on your book. All the places we stayed were fully furnished and had good housekeeping. It also had adequate ventilation and sunlight, which is very important. We chose fully functional kitchen as an option. In fact, at most of the places, they even had oil, salt and pepper complimentary, and very gracious host through whom we learned many things which as a newcomer one would like to know. Since kitchen and dining room as well as living area were shared space, we would invariably end up having long conversation with host and exchange information with other guests, food, get to know about their places, culture, and many more interesting things. We made some amazing friends and carry a lot of good memories, which is very important when you start life in Canada. And this acted as a natural cultural adaptation. We got tips on how to build network, importance of coffee chat, the Canadian resume, how to save money while shopping, what you can do for free. We also explored cities together. Well, you must have heard network is network. So finally, here are closing points. Staying close to subway made our life easy as we did not have to do a long commute, and saved transportation money and allowed us to attend frequent events, seminars, settlement service, and of course free passes to museums. We have explored all museums for free. Staying in Airbnb helped us not just to keep our accommodation flexible till we had visibility of job, and we could choose long-term accommodation accordingly. In fact, we did not have to invest anything on furnishing the place, and made great friends. I'm a big fan of Airbnb. They are flexible, reasonable, and reliable. One must see the reviews of host before booking for sure. And my personal suggestion is that one must stay close to downtown, whether it is Vancouver, Montreal, Toronto, or any other place, to keep you mobile, engaged, and give you option to explore the city. Not to stay in basement, at least in winter, and one needs to have flexibility to move at short notice, which if you stay at faraway place won't be possible. Hope you liked this video and found it informative. Please comment, share, and subscribe. Soon I shall share video on how I selected my long-term accommodation and how I set up the entire place for less than $1,000. Enjoy till then. then, take care and bye.